Forge the narrative.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host for the Alabama Lost Souls podcast. I'm joined tonight by Ricky Addington.
I've had two monsters. Let's see what we can do tonight.
Rip roaring, ready to go.
We were out of rippets, so we'll take what we can get.
Is that like stuff at the gas station?
Yeah, probably shouldn't even talk about rip. I don't even know if rippet's legal. Is that like a real thing you can still get? I feel like that was probably like the FDA has probably said something to them.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, so let's just stop that. We may be joined by Chris Morgan later on, see if he can get free tonight. But we want to talk about some Space Marine stuff. Since our last conversation, there has been an update from Games Workshop that has come out about these Forge World Space Marines, the Adeptus Astartes, and an update on Space Marine characters that aren't in the Codex, ones that will, probably make their way into supplements and stuff.
Let's focus on the most important thing here, and that's not Black Templars, Paul.
Black Templars are in a weird spot. I'll tell you why in a few minutes, but...
All right, because I'm eager to hear it because one, I like the Black Templars color scheme, and two, you've already got a lot painted, so it would be good to have those on the table.
Well, the Crusader. Well, Jax will jump right into it. In the update for the Space Marines Codex, that they've added in the Space Marine characters and then the Crusader Squad. So the Crusader Squad, it's a troop choice. That's the Black Templar ones that allowed you to have the power armor guys, the initiates, the sword brother, and the neophyte. Sword brother's a sergeant or whatever. The Crusader Squads are 13 points apiece. That's one more point than a tactical marine.
And just because I'm dumb in the ways of the Black Templars, what all does that bring them extra? Is it an extra attack or something?
No, they get nothing base on their stats.
They just get like they're going to get like some extra weapon options and stuff like that, right? I think
a sword brother may replace his bolt pistol and bolt gun with stuff from the sergeant equipment list.
Okay.
Any initiate may replace his bolt gun with a chain sword, so that does allow them to get a chain sword. So basically, have 3 attacks a model. That's
pretty good. And how big is the squad size?
My apologies. 2 attacks a model.
Okay.
You can get them pretty big, so you can have up to 10 power armor guys and 10 neophytes. So 10 scouts. So 20.
So you can have models. So you can have up to 20 models in one squad.
Yes.
Okay. See, that's cool because when we talk about efficiency of stratagems, that is. Pretty darn efficient when your one stratagem can affect 20 guys, right? So transhuman physiology is definitely worth the CP when you've got 20 bodies there that cannot be wounded on anything less than a 4.
That's so. I mean, I wish it didn't have this premium of 1 extra point. I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about the difference of a couple of storm vultures in your army, but it could make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, well, if it's 1 extra point and you have 20 guys, that's 20 points, so that's a couple of little toys here and there. So, but I mean, I think depending on what you're doing with them, I think that's potentially pretty darn strong, especially if you can charge them into combat. You can charge a 20-man blob into combat and buff it up with some stratagems, especially if you honor the chapter with a 20-man squad. You're going to get some more mileage out of that.
That's good. I can buy that. I don't want to make this just about Black Templars, though. I thought that was interesting that, they're paying that extra little premium. But, you bring up some good points about they are kind of become like a good vehicle for some stratagem delivery.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think that's where big squads have their value right now, is that a big squad is going to be harder to get a kill point to or get first blood, stuff like that. They're more resistant to that.
They lose 5 guys. You could, they're even like more efficient to command point to usage on things like the auto pass morale.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of benefits there for a big squad. The downside is, it's a big giant squad that is harder to hide and cover, or it's you've got a lot of points invested in it. I mean, there's trade-offs there, but overall, I think the big advantage that larger squads have will be in that command point efficiency.
As a correction from the previous show, yes, thank you everyone who pointed out that on page 108 it says that the Black Templars cannot take librarians.
I'm so glad that was in there. Just because I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see it on the table.
Well, it should be in there. I think I got a little too blinded by some of the glitz and glamour of all this new stuff. I guess the Invictor Dread had me
all the new shiny stuff. You were blinded by the light. It's okay.
I should go, the Invictor Warsuit.
Warsuit, not a dread. I'm going to make mine look like a dread, though.
Well, it does look like a dread. I mean, look, I think it's cool. It's neat hearing people come to, I guess, kind of crusade. See what I did there?
Oh, I see you. I got you.
For the Warsuit is lore appropriate.
I mean, I'm not saying it's inappropriate. I just think that if you are going to have a big giant warsuit and not armor your cockpit up, I mean, even the Astra Militarum.
He's in armor. He doesn't need any additional armor.
I think he needs a little, Paul.
Dreadnought has the same armor save as a power armor guy. So isn't it the same?
Yeah, but that's covering like a dead body. You know, let's just put some armor paneling over that cockpit.
Just a few more feet of plating.
Just pick. I mean, tell me the orcs wouldn't slap some panels on that thing. You know, I mean, that's all I'm saying.
I bet if you slap some panels on it, that would have given him the extra toughness because he's only toughness 6.
Yeah, and it shows. You know, I mean, I could preach on this all day.
Well, whatever. He's still going.
Dude, it's a cockpit.
3 of them are still going in the army.
Oh yeah, I mean you're going to put 3 in the army, but mine's going to have 3 with a cockpit on it or something.
Yeah. So, guys, this is one of those things to where it's just so point efficient, and we won't go into it again because we already talked about it. But it's hard for me when I go into like Battlescribe or whatever, and not just auto include 3 of them, and then see what else comes about.
Yeah, it's like back when your Ultramarines, when you try to create an Ultramarines list, it just automatically populates Guilliman in there. So now it's going to automatically populate
Guilliman and Victor. Let's talk about that for a minute. So the Ultramarines, one of the first books to get their supplement, everyone knows that. But now there's a case for where Guilliman in an Ultramarines list is not necessarily an auto include.
He's not, and I defy anyone to be mad about that. Ultramarines players especially, because as much as I love Guilliman, both in the lore, on the table, and the model, I mean everything. I mean I'm an Ultramarines fanboy. I think they're awesome, and I love Guilliman. In the story, all the stories I've read with him in it, I've really appreciated him as a character. I know you and Chris have different views when it comes to this sanguineous Guilliman thing, but them knocking him down a bit and taking some of his power away and, consequently dropping his points, I think is fantastic for the game. Not just for the game, but for Ultramarines players as well, because now there are options. It's not it's not an automatic, I have to spend 400 points on this model. That's right. 400
of your points are no longer committed to something. And now even he's down to 350 points.
Yeah, he's 350 points, and now other than the other things he's bringing to the table, because what did we bring him for? We always brought Guilliman for rerolling all hit rolls and all wound rolls. The all wound rolls was the thing that you could only get in the game from Guilliman, right?
Hit rolls and call.
Oh yeah, and call, right? Okay, so the fact that that was there, those re-rolling wound rolls, that was so insanely powerful for Ultramarines lists, because you didn't have to take all of the big heavy guns to kill stuff, right? You could spam strength 4 weapons and re-roll all failed wound rolls. Guilliman was going to get throughput for you, right? And oh, by the way, if you got close, he had a big giant sword that he was going to kill you with. So that was almost like a secondary benefit to these Ultramarine shooting armies that could just get shots, just cause wounds, right? Well, now that they took that from him, it's not as fun for your, when you're spamming all those strength 4 shots, but now you can do the exact same thing with a chapter master or Marneus Calgar and a lieutenant and save all those points. So if you don't need Guilliman charging in there and, wrecking things with his sword, you don't have to pay that premium for him. Now you can take a captain, make him a chapter master and take a lieutenant and get exactly what you could from a shooting standpoint. In a much cheaper package. And it also kind of evens the playing field for other Space Marine chapters. With Guilliman being nerfed down a little, it makes other Space Marine chapters just as viable as the Ultramarines.
Well, I don't know. We'll see when they get their supplements full on. But, I mean, I think that what you're talking about definitely makes a case for including Marneus Calgar instead of Guilliman, if you want that character. Now, Marneus is in Gravis armor, so that limits what he can go into as far as a transport goes, but Guilliman can't be put in a transport at all. So when you take Guilliman, you're basically also committing yourself to being pretty stationary, or at least gun line type stuff. It's going to be hard to for other things that he's buffing to keep up with him.
Yeah.
But Marneus could technically go in something. And where Guilliman gives you 3 command points, Marneus gives you 2 command points coming out the gate.
Yeah, and I mean, look at it this way, because you're going to have Guilliman. Guilliman's a Lord of War, so you're going to have. That's
another big point too. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have your 2 HQ choices for your battalion or whatever you're taking. We are not taking a brigade, Paul. We're not taking a brigade. I keep saying it, but I'm trying to get you on board.
I think 2 battalions is the way to go for sure.
Yeah. Max. Me, I'm usually 1 battalion and one of the other little specialist detachments, right? It just goes back to that. Like now, instead of having to try to find, what 2 cheap HQs am I going to throw in there, and then of course I'm taking Guilliman. Now I can take Marneus Calgar and a lieutenant. Those are my 2 HQs.
Marneus and Tigerius is.
But I'm saying,
330 points. It's still less than. Still less than Guilliman. But Calgar is only 200 points.
Yeah, he's solid. He's right there. The other Azrael, I think, is 180 as well. So, and I think Calgar is a little better than Azrael in many ways.
Well, he has all the damage done to him. So,
yeah, he's tough. He's super tough. Like Marneus Calgar. If you Marneus Calgar if you have some Victrix there to eat some wounds from that, and an apothecary there, dude, he's going to be a tough nut to crack, because sure, you shoot him with a las cannon. Guess what? You just dealt 3 damage.
I don't think that the Victrix are necessarily required, but we were having a good spirited discussion with Josh. Josh Skinner was on the show last week. Should you take the Victrix? And he brought up a nice point that the Victrix, you got to take 2 of them, and they're 30 points apiece, starting out. I think you've got to buy some war gear from them, but they are 3 wounds apiece with a 2+ save and then a 3+ invulnerable. So, point for point, they're pretty up there, or they're kind of in line with if you were going to take another Inceptor squad, or Intercessor, or even a couple TAC Marine squads.
Yeah, and don't forget, they're 4 attacks apiece. That's 60 points for 8 attacks, 6 wounds, 2 up armor save, 3 up invulnerable save, and heaven forbid, somebody's got a sniper heavy army. Anybody playing with Phobos army is going to have 3 eliminator squads in there, and Marneus could potentially have to worry about that. If your army really depends on getting all those rerolls, rerolling hit rolls or wound rolls or whatever, or you've got a character you want to protect, the Victrix Honor Guard is really good at kind of jumping in front of that sniper to eat some wounds.
My apologies too. That 30 points includes the war gear.
Yeah, I think they're situationally very good, and I think if you've got the points and you're running a character heavy army, I don't see a whole lot of reasons not to consider them. Especially
you take wounds from any Ultramarines character, not just Calgar, who they come in the box with, or Guilliman or whatever.
Yeah, and if you have because Ultramarines you can get up to like 3 Warlord traits in your Ultramarines army. So if you have the Nobility Made Manifest Warlord trait near them, which would allow those Victrix to heroically intervene as if they were a character, you could get some mileage out of them there.
Yeah, you mentioned the 3 Warlord traits. So in the Space Marines Codex, of course, in an army you get 1 Warlord. In the Space Marines Codex, what's the one there called? That you get to make another
in the
character.
Space Marines Codex, Hero of the Chapter.
Hero of the Chapter, and then in the Ultramarine side, you can get the Exemplar of the Chapter, which allows you to take another Warlord trait. So that is 3 Warlord traits that you could sprinkle around your army if you desired, for a fairly low investment of 2 additional command points.
Yeah, and you're playing Ultramarines, so you're going to have command points everywhere anyway, right? I mean, heaven forbid you take Marneus Calgar and Guilliman, and that's 5 extra command points right there.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's usually Ultramarines are going to have plenty, right? So they should be pretty okay there.
Yeah, and I think there's a way they can even get some back. You know, we talked a little bit on the last show about what your effective like command pool is after you go ahead and plan on burning a couple of rerolls and a couple of auto pass morales or whatever. So having these other characters that give you free ones it's very strong. But that brings us to talking about command points, the martial precision. That is an Ultramarine stratagem that uses stratagem before resolving an attack made by an Ultramarines model from your army in your shooting phase. When resolving that attack, do not make a hit roll. It automatically scores a hit.
Yeah, I love martial precision. I think you want something in there that can maximize that, right? Because it's not every shot from a gun. Because remember the way the rules play out, it's one attack. So a gun that shoots 3 shots, that's 3 separate attacks. You would only guarantee one of those hits. And I'm a big fan of the Vindicator laser destroyer, the Deimos pattern from Forge World. It's 2 shots, 36-inch range, but the biggie with it is it's strength 10, AP -5, and a flat 6 damage. So, you really want that to hit. And if you're going to burn a command point, do everything you can to maximize that damage. So if you can guarantee that you're going to hit, it makes those low volume of fire weapons, those high strength, low volume of fire weapons much more advantageous. Also, your melta guns will finally hit, because we all know that melta guns
they'll find a way to get you. They'll find
melta guns never hit.
Now you're taking one part out of the equation. But what's the Repulsor Executioner?
Repulsor Executioner, I think is probably the best bet out of the codex, right? For using it, because it's main gun, not the plasma, but the big laser.
The heavy laser, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, because that one's good. But remember, it is still doing D6 damage. But the cool rule about the heavy laser destroyer is that 1, 2, or 3 counts as 3. So at a minimum, you're doing 3 damage.
It's a heavy 2 weapon, strength 10, D6 damage, neg 4 AP, D6 damage.
Yeah. The Deimos is better, I think, from an overall damage standpoint, but the Executioner is bringing a lot of extras to it, right? So plus it looks sick. So I love that tank, and so if you've got it, martial precision makes that shot really count, and it's fantastic when there's people are stacking minuses to hit, especially Eldar flyers, and if you can guarantee that you're going to hit an Eldar flyer and not somehow have to be in flamer range to do it, then that's really good. And
what's
all
the
of a sudden,
neg AP on that thing?
On the Executioner, the heavy laser destroyer
it's -4, but you're talking about
it's neg 5.
Oh well, there you go. I mean that's.
I think it's just better all around, and it's what, like 186 points or something like that. So it's solid, and
it's multi-shot too, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, it's 2 shots, and then I think if it doesn't move, it gets more shots. Yeah, if it doesn't move, it can fire twice. So it's potentially firing 4 strength 10 AP 5. 6 damage shots.
One of those shots hits is huge.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying you could effectively ruin a flyer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean it's strong, right? AP -5. Granted, some of this stuff has invul saves, but a lot of stuff out there still doesn't have invul saves, and you're all but guaranteeing 6 damage right there, as long as you can roll 3+ on a wound roll, right?
Yeah, what this book has also done is made kind of the regimented, like, things that we would consider boring. They follow the rules. They know how to follow the rules really well. That's what like, say I was describing Ultramarines to someone else 3 years ago, 5 years ago, that's what I would have said. They're a chapter that's really good at following the rules. Yeah,
they're the Boy Scouts, right? They're the guys who follow the rules, and they're always prepared. And I think that's the thing that I enjoy about the Ultramarines is their discipline and their adherence to the Codex, and how that they use that to win win their battles. I think a lot of people are kind of they get kind of bored about Ultramarines because we see them all the time, right? Because they're the poster boys, so they're on the cover of everything. They're every Space Marine model that GW comes out with.
Every store has a stand-up.
Everything, yeah, everything, yeah. I mean, we've got the 8-foot-tall one in our shop too, and I have to see it every day. And but the thing is, like, even though like people like kind of crap on them all the time, they're actually a really cool chapter, and I think they finally have all these stratagems and abilities and stuff built.
They've been going that way for a long time, but I think now with stratagems and where the game's going right now, they've found more creative ways to work it in there. Like especially with the squad, the combat doctrines, and it's a neat progression, and then the Ultramarines get a way of manipulating it. So they got two big ways for fairly low investment. So for 1 CP. Got squad doctrines. Use this stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Select one Ultramarines infantry or Ultramarines biker unit from your army. Then select either the Devastator, Tactical, or Assault doctrine. Until the start of your next movement phase, that unit gains the bonus of that combat doctrine instead of the active doctrine. So the way the active doctrines work, your army starts with the Devastator doctrine, and then if you choose, you can progress it to the next doctrine, and then progress it to the next doctrine, the Assault doctrine, and then you're there from that turn on. This allows you to get one unit, the unit that you want it on, to either regress or accelerate their doctrine to whatever it is you need.
Yeah, and I me personally, I see Ultramarines as being more of a shooty army, right? Like typically they're going to be shooting rapid fire. I see them staying mostly in Devastator and Tactical Doctrine, and you may not want to lose those benefits and push your whole army into Assault Doctrine just to make that one assault squad you have, or that one or two assault squads you have, really effective that turn.
At that turn, I mean,
so like you get locked in. Okay, well, I'm Ultramarines, so I'm going to be backing out anyway, right? But while we're in there that turn, let's go ahead and pop squad doctrines, put them in the assault phase, and let them do their thing, or maybe keep one in. So
the assault doctrine, I don't know if we've specifically covered this before, but the armor penetration characteristics of pistol and melee weapons this model is equipped with is improved by 1, whilst the combat doctrine this combat doctrine is active. So it's got benefits. So you may have some stuff with some guns and their combat knives or whatever. You're going to get some benefit out of this, and then it's further incentivizes this one command point use.
Yeah, because you may have like a Reaver squad, for instance. Your army may be primarily intercessors, shooting, repulsors, whatever. You've got the shooting army, but you've got that Reaver squad dropping in or popping up somewhere. Well, that makes their pistols AP -2. Their knives are AP -1 for one command point. That's pretty darn terrifying. So there's a lot of value there, I think, in that stratagem.
The Cycle of War is the other one. This is an army-wide thing. Use this stratagem at the start of the battle round if an Ultramarines Warlord from your army is on the battlefield and the Assault Doctrine was active during the previous battle round. The currently active doctrine is changed so that the Devastator Doctrine is now active. So you can reset the whole thing. You'd be like, yo, roll it back. We're going back to shooting stuff again.
And I love that one. That is such an Ultramarines stratagem, right? Because it's I couldn't imagine the Blood Angels ever going back, right, to Devastator, right? Because once they're into Assault, they're there.
There's going to be a character in that book that's like, whatever, they get a retread. The Assault Doctrine is active the round 1 if you have Astrath.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. Astrath would have that, absolutely. And so I love the idea of Cycle of War because it's good from a gameplay standpoint. It's going to let you manipulate those doctrines to your advantage. But from a thematic standpoint of you've charged across the battlefield shooting, then you're getting into rapid fire range, and then you assault. And once you've pushed through that objective, you're going to reset, regroup, and do it again. And so from a thematic standpoint, that's a very Ultramarine stratagem, and I really like it a lot.
For 2 command points, they have the rapid redeployment at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins. Select up to 3 Ultramarines units from your army on the battlefield. Remove them from the battlefield and set them up again as described in the deployment section of the mission.
And I love that one. I love it. I mean, so many reasons I love that. But one thing that really sticks out to me about that is just think about how many times you've put scouts somewhere, and then after everything starts getting deployed, you realize those scouts are gone turn one, right? You know you've put them up a little too far. Man. I know, but now it doesn't have to be, because you can use scouts now to screen out your opponent's scout units or something.
And then move them.
And then pull them back.
This is underappreciated. It's always like, because Eldar have had this traditionally with Eldrad, and, I guess now there's probably a Warlord trait that lets you do it, but...
Yeah, Harlequins can do it with a stratagem as well.
It's underappreciated, but now, where we've got missions, I'm not a huge fan of, deploy everything anymore. That used to be the way it was way back in the day or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I like the you go, I go deploy a little bit better than that stuff. But that doesn't mean that mission sets out there are not having missions to where you do that, where one side deploys everything. This is in that environment, this is huge. Things that were in range became out of range.
Well, another thing is that you can bait people, or you can kind of catch people off guard, right? Because you don't have to put anything out there on objectives at the beginning of the game during the deployment or anything. You can, you can set them back in your deployment zone, and then once they've deployed, or maybe they've deployed up close and put something that they, put something up closer than they should have, then you can, pay 2 command points and move all 3 of the Invictor tactical war suits that you just happen to have in your army, 9 inches away from them. And guess what? You turn 1, you're going to flame them and charge them and kill them. So there's a lot. It's not just pulling guys back, but you could, push guys forward, right? Because of being able to move certain units out of your deployment zone in the deployment phase.
What I've always loved about this, and it seems like the most unfair thing, is that there's no range requirement. Like, you can move your figures from one side of the board to the other. There's not, like, they don't get to move 8 inches back or something. They could be 36, 48, 60 something inches from where they started. It just seems like, oh my goodness, I didn't see this happening.
Yeah. Just don't argue that part of it too much. Just go with it.
Well, the neat thing is that it's command points. It's not a warlord trait, so you get to opt to do it, and you have to pay to do it. Which means that your opponent might assume that you're not going to invest that in there. So I mean, kind of read the room a little bit. Where if they don't think that you've got the stones to burn those CP, you can just reassure them that you took Marnius and these command points for free. So
yeah. Yeah, but
you do whatever you want with them.
It's something you got to be aware of, though, right? As an opponent of the Ultramarines, if you're playing against the Ultramarines, you've got to be aware that for 2 CP, if they've got units that can infiltrate or anything like that, for 2 CP, they could potentially have them 9 inches away from your front lines after you're deployed. So you're going to have to be careful about how you deploy. There's been tons of games where I put a tactical squad or an intercessor squad right up on my front line so I can start getting them to those objectives, right? If you do that and then pay some command points and all of a sudden I've got, war suits or reaver squads or something right in front of me, now I've got to deal with that. So I think there's that's something that both sides need to be aware of.
I know we've talked about all the different ways, or like many different ways that you can burn your free Marnius points, but defensive focus is also up there on the list. This is an Ultramarine stratagem. Use this stratagem after an Ultramarine unit from your army is chosen as a target for a charge. Select up to 3 other friendly Ultramarines units that are more than 1 inch away from an enemy units and within 6 inches of the targeted unit. The selected units fire Overwatch at the charging unit as if they were the target of the charge.
As if Tau players didn't have to have enough to be mad at, now Ultramarines are going to do what they do, right?
Well, Tau get it for free, right? I mean, they get that. But this, still...
It's really good because there's going to be those times where something's going to get charged, and now you can Overwatch for your buddies.
Like 3 Invictor Warsuits.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what if that, because that Flamer's no joke. And the ability to use this, and somebody might have to eat 2 of those running in, that's pretty scary. And again, it's you would have to have it set up real nicely, but you could potentially charge a unit, eat its Overwatch, eat the Overwatch from its buddy, and then potentially have that other intercessor squad or a tactical squad, or heaven forbid, some aggressors get to heroically intervene using Nobility Made Manifest. So could you imagine? I'm going to charge this warsuit or something, and there's aggressors anywhere near it, and all of a sudden those aggressors are overwatching. You're going to eat aggressor Overwatch, and then potentially an aggressor, a countercharge from aggressors with all those power fists. That
sounds really bad. Power fist with additional wound and additional attack, and I mean they're good buys. Yeah. They're definitely good buys. You've mentioned Nobility Made Manifest a couple times. That's a Warlord trait that friendly Ultramarines infantry units and Ultramarines bikers units can perform a heroic intervention as if they were a character while they're within 6 inches of this Warlord.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, could you just imagine that you're going to charge into a unit when potentially every unit around it can just heroically intervene? I mean, that's potentially a game over for that assault squad that you just sent in.
So Marnius Calgar, he also has the Adept of the Codex Warlord trait. That's the Warlord trait that you can choose it with anybody, right? But while this Warlord is on the battlefield, you can roll 1d6 for each command point you spend to use a stratagem. On a 5+, that command point is refunded. Then you can only get one command point refunded per battle round by this Warlord trait.
But remember, it's for every command point spent, not just for every stratagem. So a 2 CP stratagem, you're going to roll 2 dice. Gosh, I mean, odds are pretty good you're going to be getting your command points back, right?
Yeah. So the bonus ones you're getting from him are kind of like gifts they're going to keep on giving.
Yeah, and the Ultramarines always have more command points than any other Space Marine army anyway. So there's that. Then you've got that. So I mean, you could have 3 Warlord traits if you do it right. So you have that on top of these other ones. I think your Warlord traits, you almost have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to Warlord traits, because you're just going to stack them up. Heck, I'd forget my Warlord trait half the time. I couldn't imagine having 3 Warlord traits.
Yeah, right. One of the relics that you can get is the Terentian Cloak. This one's pretty neat. Is it a model with this relic as a 5+ invulnerable save? At the start of your movement phase, the model regains D3 lost wounds.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's one of those to where you look at things like, why would I burn a CP on an extra relic? I don't do it very often. I've done it in situations to when my Warlord didn't qualify to get a relic or something,
Mm-hmm.
So then I would burn the stratagem because he fit the build or whatever to get in. But this is, we talk about taking chaplains. Chaplains have vulnerable saves. Not many ways to get wounds back, though. Things like apothecaries can give wounds to other people and keep themselves alive and get an invulnerable save with this thing.
Yeah, that's pretty all right.
Throwing out some ideas. I don't mind these relics. Captains and chapter masters can get something called the Sanctic Halo. A model from your army with this relic has a 3+ invulnerable save and can attempt to deny 1 psychic power in your opponent's psychic phase in the same manner as a psyker.
I like that, but let's be honest, I'm going to have Tugurius in there anyway, and he's never going to fail me.
But this is another one. And basically for free,
Yeah.
Getting that. And then a 3+ invulnerable save to boot. It seems like a lot. That's a lot wrapped up in one thing.
I mean, that's an efficient relic.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about more of this stuff and maybe some white scars.
Yeah, all right.
FTN is brought to you by Discount Games Inc. Please visit them at www.discountgamesinc.com. And don't forget to ask Jay about ways to save even more on your hobby projects.
Hey everybody, we are back, still me and Ricky.
I'm still hopped up on caffeine, so we're good.
Sergeant Kronos, we were just talking about him during the break.
Kronos got better. As if Kronos needed to be better, Kronos got better.
Well, okay, let's take a moment to mourn the passing of Killshot.
Killshot, hashtag thoughts and prayers. Rest in peace, Killshot. we could talk about Killshot for a while, right? Because Killshot's one of those things where I am sad to see it go, because my nephew's army used Killshot a lot, and I had to paint all those predators so that he could go to tournaments. But what happened? What happened every time we took 3 predators? What happens turn 1?
One predator would get killed.
One predator gets killed, right? So three Predators are still, solid, but
that's what it was, right? It was either the one Predator got killed, or those three Predators ruined someone's day for a turn.
Yeah. It was almost as if the game was almost decided on who went first there, right? Because it was either you killed the Predator or the Predator killed whatever your big baddie was, right? You lost an Imperial Knight a turn easily to kill shot. Heaven forbid your Tyranids, you had some big giant cool monster, because it's gone too.
But it is no longer a stratagem in the Space Marines Codex.
You still got to be careful, because the other books still have it. Dark Angels still have it. I think Blood Angels have it as well. So there's stuff there. It's still out there. But it coming out of
it
this
was
book,
especially powerful though in a Ultramarines list with Guilliman.
Yeah, it was insanely good, right? And the
but
thing
it's gone
is,
now. We don't have to talk too much about it, but it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone, and Guilliman's nerf would have taken some of the air out of those sails anyway. But since you're not going to put Cronus in those three Predators anymore, like you did, I think the best place for him now is in a Relic Whirlwind Scorpius, because with Cronus's changes, now he can be put into keywords instead of a specific list of vehicles. So now he can be put into a keyword Land Raider, keyword Vindicator, Predator, Rhino, and my favorite for him now is keyword Whirlwind, because the Whirlwind Scorpius is keyword Whirlwind, and that thing is fantastic, right? Because it's kind of a pricey tank, I think, for what it does, but if you can give it a 2-up hit roll, it's shooting, it's heavy 3d3, strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage, and you don't need line of sight, right? And the other big thing is that if you don't move the tank, it can fire twice. So that becomes 6d3 shots.
Hitting on 2s.
Hitting on 2+. And then
regaining a wound every turn.
Regaining a wound, yeah, I forgot about that. But why are you getting your Whirlwind Scorpius shot? Because it doesn't need line of sight.
I don't often find that the get one wound back does, a ton,
rarely, yeah.
But sometimes it's like so backbreaking.
I've seen it kick it back. I've seen it, on certain things, kick it back up on the wound track before and just break your heart. So, I mean, Cronus doesn't worry about that. So, but still, he's going to stick around a little longer. And
I don't want to gloss over that. Kronos' 2+ ballistic skill, even when it has suffered damage. So it never goes to whatever. It just stays 2 the whole time. Yeah,
and Cronus is not a lot of points, so he's such a good value. If you need a cheap HQ and you've already got a tank, just throw Cronus
30 points.
It's insane to not have him in there.
For a 4-wound character, because he gets out after the vehicle is destroyed.
Yeah, and that's even better, right? Because when you're trying to, what is it?
I guess as long as you don't roll a 1 and he dies. But.
Yeah, right. But it's not. He's not going to count as killing a character until you kill the tank he's in and then kill him. And another thing about putting Cronus in the Whirlwind Scorpius, so you're already shooting 63 shots right there if he doesn't move. But for 2 CP, a keyword Whirlwind model or Thunderfire Cannon model from your army that has not moved this turn is chosen to shoot with. You can choose that model to shoot with an additional time that phase. But when it does, it can only shoot with weapons that can target units that are not visible to the bearer. And that's suppression fire, okay? So you're already going to be doing that with a Scorpius anyway, because you're going to be hiding it for out of line of sight, and you're just going to be shooting with that kind of barrage, right? So for 2 CP, you can have Cronus firing 9 D3 shots a turn, hitting on 2+. So
that'll dig out some units.
Yeah, it's fantastic, right? And so Cronus in a Whirlwind Scorpius, I think, is the new hotness as far as Ultramarines go. I think, with the loss of him in a kill shot Predator, that stratagem with him in the Scorpius is fantastic.
Oh, nice. I think we're going to see some Ultramarines still. People got them, right? They did not get... I don't think they got worse. I think it's got a little bit different. I think you're going to see more Primaris inclusions We've talked about the eliminators a lot, and you can't do things like include the Vindicator assassin and stuff like that. So you're going to need a different sniper. And I think these 2-wound snipers with the ability to, basically endure a lot of damage. They come with the camo cloaks and that kind of stuff. They can kind of be of a distraction. So 3-man units, fairly easy to get in cover. Going to be hard to dig them out with their sniper weapons. So that's going to take the place of some of the scouts and stuff we've seen. I think we're going to see a move towards more and more Primaris models as they're getting their stats supercharged.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, like, eliminators are fantastic, right? The only thing about the only issue with eliminators is that they're eating heavy slots, right? But they're so cheap, and there's so many good character options in an Ultramarine army. You can take that could be your second detachment. Is just take a bunch of heavies and make sure you get your 3 eliminators in there. But I think something to remember with Ultramarines especially is, and I know everyone's tired of me preaching on aggressors, but remember with the Scions of Guilliman rule, when you're in tactical doctrine, aggressors can move and still shoot as if they didn't move, which means they can move their 5 inches a turn, and as long as they don't advance, they're going to shoot double shots. So
that's pretty good, because you're often many
fantastic.
turns. Many games you're trying to get them in that range for the first turn, so they don't you never get to fire the double, or at least not with all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I guess before we wrap up talking about Ultramarines, talking about Chaplain Casius.
He's great.
The dude is 85 points now. He's walking. Let me confirm he's 85 points. Yeah, Chaplain Casius, 85 points. He gets the Litany of Hate and 2 litanies from the Litanies of Battle.
Yeah,
so
and I think
he's got 3 litanies he can choose from, whereas most chaplains just have the 2.
Yeah, I think having the 2 litanies of battle is where Casius is going to see a lot of playtime. Like, I think the coach is going to take him off the bench and get him in there, right? Because chaplains, everybody's like trying to paint their chaplains up all of a sudden. Everybody's getting chaplains, blowing the dust off of chaplains to get them back in the game. And I think Casius is great because the litanies of battle, I mean, they're all good, right? And so, now that he can have 2 of them, he's essentially saving you points, right? So how much is a bare bones chaplain? Is around 60 points, something like that, for just like a stock chaplain.
You're going to put something else on him probably.
Right. But let's say a bare bones chaplain is 60 points and Casius is 85 points. Well, Casius is bringing 2 litanies to the table, whereas that would cost you 120 points from 2 other chaplains. And you could give Casius, if you were with Ultramarines, who are primarily going to be, in my eyes, always just primarily a shooting army, giving
Chaplain is 72 points.
Okay, so even better. He's even better value. But Casius with behind a gun line with a Catechism of Fire and the Recitation of Focus, adding 1 to hit rolls and wound rolls. And then you've got Guilliman there probably with him. That's insane. You're just not going to miss ever. And you're still going to be wounding almost as well as you were before.
Yeah, and we didn't specifically state this, but at the start of the battle round, this model can recite 2 litanies it knows that have not already been recited by a friendly model that battle round. So yeah, he has to know 3 and pop off 2, and that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's at the inspired retribution when a friendly Ultramarines model is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a melee weapon by a model and an enemy unit. While that friendly model's unit is within 6 inches of this model, roll 1d6. On a 6, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound after it is fought.
That's pretty fun right there. And if you've got the banner there, your guy's potentially going to fight back, kill a model or 2 there, or maybe kill a model, right? And then if you get real lucky, he dies and you roll a 6 and kill another model. So it just makes assault just a little more dangerous for the guy charging into your gun line.
Dude's a 4 wound character, 3 attacks, 4 pulse and vulnerable save. He's got a flamer. So that's relevant sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got the Artificer's Crozius, 2 damage, -2 AP, +2 strength. For being, what we say, 13 more points than a bare bones chaplain, getting the additional litany and some bonus stuff or whatever.
Yeah, you're getting a combi weapon that is also a master crafted bolt gun, right? So
yeah.
D6 flamer shots and then rapid fire 1 bolter. That's AP -1 and 2 damage. He's going to kill some stuff in shooting, and then strength 6, AP -2, 2 damage in melee.
It's neat that he's basically bionic, like his model's bionic. They made him toughness 5, so even a better boon.
Oh, they did. Yeah, I didn't even catch that. That's cool.
He might have been toughness 5 before, but anyway, it's still neat. I mean, he's got a lot of value baked into that. Those points. I mean, I'm digging it. So let's talk a little bit about White Scars, if that's okay.
Yeah.
White Scars, of course, not the sheer amount of character models that the Ultramarines have. They just got we're getting the Khan model. But no Khan on bike, and that's kind of disappointing. Well, okay, there is a Khan on bike, but there's no Crusader Khan on the bike.
What's up with that, G-Dubs? What happened there? And it kind of makes you wonder, though, like, if we can go down this tangent here. Okay, so he crossed the Rubicon Primaris. Great. I can't wait for the Dark Angels characters to do that as well and get their Primaris models. I want that. But I mean, I thought for sure, like, I just had it in my head, if GW was ever going to release Primaris bikers, it would have been with the White Scars, right?
Well, I mean, they got the, like the jet bikes and stuff too. Like we're seeing, jet bikes supposed to be the relic technology, but, even in the White Scar supplement, they actually, there's one of the pictures of the Khan on their jet bike, and they talk about that squad and how they ride off into the distance or whatever, but.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, if the Primaris are, I mean, if all of a sudden gravitic technology is becoming more commonplace in the Imperium, which it is because all the new tanks are grav tanks, great. So other than them stealing a bit of the thunder from the Custodes, I would be okay with grav bikers, Primaris bikers on like grav bikes or something.
That would be grav cool. Harleys that. I guess the orcs have kind of the Harley look to them.
Yeah. I just wish that Corsairo had a sweet ride. That was my one big thing.
Yeah, I mean, it may be coming, who knows, but that's also, the White Scars aren't just bikes. They can still be mobile and still get some benefit of being everywhere, even though they're not on bikes. And that's kind of, I think that's what we want to talk about with a little bit about their movement shenanigans that the White Scars can do.
Yeah, boy, they got a lot of them, it seems like. I mean, I don't take this in any way to say that I don't like what the White Scars are getting. I just wish they got a bike as they got the rest of it, is all I'm saying.
Well, they do. They got the board and the saddle. Use this stratagem when a White Scars biker unit from your army advances. That unit can still shoot this turn.
I love that. And, because I play Raven Wing in my Dark Angels army, and we have a Speed of the Raven, which essentially does the exact same thing. And it is so powerful to be able to shoot across the table, 20 inches, and still shoot with everything, right? So you stack a bunch of combi weapons onto a White Scars bike unit. They're already shooting their bolt, their 4 bolt gun shots, and then whatever combi weapon you give them, or plasma, or whatever you want to give them, and that's 1 CP, and you're increasing their threat range by 6 inches for no penalty. Yeah,
I think that you can still put the plasma and stuff weapons on regular Space Marine bikes, right?
Yeah,
I mean, not on the bikes themselves, but in the rider's hands.
Yeah. They should still be able to take 1 special weapon apiece, and the sergeant usually can take a combi. I think that's still the rule.
We can check on that. But anyway, I'm saying there's, in addition to the bolters, which we know can be withering to people, you can pack a little bit extra punch in there. They've also got that's a 1 command point stratagem. They also got a stratagem, the lightning debarkation. Use this stratagem in your movement phase after a White Scars transport unit from your army that does not have the flyer battlefield roll moves. White Scar units embarked aboard that unit can immediately disembark, but they can't make a charge move after that, which is kind of disappointing. But when you think about how all the bolters and how that stuff interacts with the Doctrines, you can still deposit some folks kind of way far away from where they started to do some damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's there's a couple of good benefits to that. The first one in my eyes is that, yeah, if you've got assault bolters and, they just jump out and auto hit, you get them in range, get them within half range and auto hit with them. But there's also the benefits of you need to get on that objective and hold it. And he's got stuff on that objective already. You can shoot some OBSEC units over there in a transport, jump your intercessors out of that transport onto the objective and get objective secured units there, whereas your tank might not be able to hold it. You can use the OBSEC units jumping out to get onto an objective late game or last turn and just steal it right out from under somebody.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, there's I think there's some really, I think that it would create some fun situations on the tabletop to see that.
There's a strategy called Ride Hard, Ride Fast. It's not biker specific. Yeah, like keep in mind that, I was like the Vengeance for Cadia screwed me up where I didn't necessarily think that I could use it on my catechins, but you can. Use this stratagem after a White Scars unit from your army advances. Until the start of your next movement phase, when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon against that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll.
That's nice.
I mean, to your point, aggressors, assault centurions.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why you necessarily maybe put them in a White Scars army, but anything.
I think you need to back up there. You should. Well, assault centurions, no, but aggressors go in every army. Paul, just accept that.
Well, okay. I mean, think of even the Inceptors and stuff like that. I mean, there's stuff here that everything we know that -1 to hit is a real pain in the butt sometimes.
Yeah.
Or all the time, not even sometimes. It's like most of the time, it just cuts out your hitting efficiency by 17% most of the time. So, and
it cuts it out even more when you're using plasma, because the fear of losing your plasma guns because of that -1 will keep you from supercharging a lot of times, right? So it's such a good deterrent for plasma weapons. So that's why I really like anytime you can get -1 on your units when you're going up against plasma. You will see people pause and really think hard before they supercharge their guns against you, because they don't want to lose their own guys. So anytime you can give a unit -1 to be hit is fantastic.
We'll continue to dive into the White Scars and army list ideas as we move into the next episode, but I want to talk about encirclement. This is a one command point stratagem. Use this stratagem during deployment before setting up a White Scars unit from your army. You can set up that unit in outflank instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do, at the end of one of your movement phases, you can set up that unit wholly within 6 inches of any battlefield edge and more than 9 away from enemy units. So in outflank.
Is there anything scarier than knowing like your opponent can bring in a big giant blob of bikes on turn 2, in your deployment zone? Yeah. Think about that. Like, how big can you make a vanilla Marine bike squad? 6?
I think it's 6, yeah.
6 and an attack bike. 6 and an attack bike in Space Marines, right? So that's 7, what is that, 14? No, 28 bolter shots. And heaven forbid you're in Tactical Doctrine, right? So 28 AP -1 bolter shots coming in on turn 2 in your backfield, and then you're going to have probably the 2 plasma guns and either a multi-melta or heavy bolter on the attack bike, and that's just going to sit nice and safely off the table till you want them to come in, and they're going to come in and they're going to kill something that turn, right? So that is a really fun ability to have, and very thematic for the White Scars.
Yeah, it's one command. It has all the tactical reserve rules. We've almost made it the whole show without talking about drop pods.
Oh man, I was praying, but I guess the Emperor didn't answer that one. So, but yeah. But the thing to remember though is you're not going to get into Tactical Doctrine until turn 2 anyway. So that's the perfect time. You keep those bikes. Keep that big bike squad off. Turn 2 hits. You hit Tactical Doctrine. They come on the table. Take full advantage of all that AP -1. So I think that works out really well right there.
Yeah, I like it, especially with again, just kind of plays into we're talking about the White Scars can be everywhere. They can be anywhere you need them to be.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the Visa card of Space Marines right now, right? Because they're everywhere you want to be. Is that the thing?
Well, I think it's
hashtag this show sponsored by Visa.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Not opposed to that.
Yeah, no kidding. I need a 0% APR card, and I'll talk about you every episode, right? But Yeah, there's so many good abilities that they can get where they need to be. They can hit hard when they get there. And then, what's the stratagem that lets the bikes can consolidate 6 plus D6 inches?
So it's this is a stratagem that has kind of a two-parter. It's the Strike for the Heart. Use this stratagem before a White Scars unit from your army consolidates. That unit consolidates D3 plus 3 instead of 3 this phase, or D6 plus 6 if every model in that unit has a move characteristic of at least 10.
That is insane. And so it's not even bikers. It's if their move characteristic is 10.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
yeah.
Inceptors can do that as well.
Yeah. 6 plus D6. Get it.
That's great. Because, and a thing to remember about is that's your consolidate, right? So, remember though that can help you, if you kill a squad, that can help you maybe get just behind some cover to
or
keep
touch another squad so they
heaven forbid we do that. I mean that's the no-brainer, right? Is to completely wrap up a unit or to get in with another unit. But that's huge. Potentially 12 inches of consolidation is insane.
Yeah, it's always real fun.
Can we talk about the fact that every White Scar stratagem sounds like a motorcycle gang motto, like something you would have on the back of your leather vest, like "Born in the Saddle"? Like I feel like every one of these
Richard Quarry.
Yeah, they all sound like motorcycle gangs or something.
That's okay. I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm with it.
There's a power in the storm speaking discipline, as the librarians that they have, called Ride the Winds. Yeah, just highlighting the mobility stuff right now. So Ride the Winds has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select one friendly White Scars unit within 12 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. When an advance or charge roll is made for that unit, add 2 to the result.
That's fantastic. And now you don't have to play Black Templars to get the +2. Even better. Also, that would just sound great on the back of your leather vest for your biker gang.
Black Templars don't get the +2; they get the reroll. There's a litany, I think that.
Oh, I'm thinking of the litany, right? Yeah. Okay, my bad.
I'll get a +4. Could you get a +4 from the litany?
No. It specifically says it doesn't stack. I looked into that.
Oh, it really? Oh, it doesn't stack. It doesn't stack with other litanies. Does it stack with? Oh, that's right. The litany.
It will not stack with it. I think it was what does not stack with any other. Oh, no, I may be thinking of the...
No, it doesn't. So this is not cumulative with any other ability that adds to a unit's charge roll or increase the distance it can pile in or consolidate.
Yeah, I was looking at it for the that successor chapter that'll give you +1, because I was thinking that +1 and then that would be...
I was about to get real excited.
Yeah. I think that's probably how they make their rules anymore. Is would Paul Murphy try to do something with this? Let's go ahead and
is he ever going to get that +9 to the Death Company charge or whatever?
Probably not going to see that.
Oh yeah. Oh, but anyway, yeah, I'm glad we looked that up. But that's we're talking again. The White Scars, huge mobility, which is cool. So the Marine Army. The last episode was kind of a focus of do you even need all these command points? But I think you can effectively make 2 battalions that get you 13 command points, and that's if you don't have Calgar or Guilliman in there.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but yes, you need those command points. But it's like
I don't know that you
give me any number of command points, Paul, and I'm going to spend them.
Yeah, well, fair. Okay,
so,
sure, that's fine. But I'm saying I don't know that you do, because the Marines, they've gotten just such they're inherently durable now. And I don't mean just the armor save. I mean like extra wounds on a lot of these guys.
The Gravis armor getting 3 wounds, I think that just needed to happen because, it felt like they were, like the Gravis armor was replacing Terminator armor, right? Like that's kind of what it seems like they were shooting for. But it was still a 3-up save. But now they're toughness 5. They were toughness 5 before, but now they're toughness 5, 3-up save with 3 wounds. And it's just, that's survivable. Okay. It doesn't get much more survivable than that, so that's fantastic. They've got a lot of tools in the toolbox, and, they don't need a ton of CP. I don't think. I don't think you need, 18 command points to get through a game. They definitely have some really good stratagems that you're going to want to burn. Yeah, I'm going to spend them. Geez, transhuman physiology alone, that's 10 command points.
To a spot, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my gosh.
Let's take a quick break, then we'll come back with the last segment.
Cool.
We're sponsored by Firmaterra. With their sturdy, lightweight and portable tables, you can make war anywhere. Please visit them at www.firmaterra.com.
We are back, still me and Ricky.
Holding it down all night long.
Because it's 24-hour. Let's do it.
We're going to do it. We're going to do the...
You're all amped up still.
Yeah, and we're going to do a telethon, and this is going to go all night. We're going to open the phones up, and... Wait, how does that work? PBS does it once a year, right?
So I've already seen a bunch of posts on, like, in the Facebook groups and stuff that I'm a member of people wanting to know if tournament organizers are going to police the colors of Marines to see if they are in line with what the chapter tactic they are using is. Like, I don't know if if you remember all the Ultramarine white scars that were out there in previous editions. Now, this is something that I understand people are divided on. I get it 100%. But I'm also want to talk about, I am someone who also feels this way, but I also have a counts as chapter. I have Luna Wolves as my Space Marines chapter. I got some neat story, why they're still Luna Wolves, whatever.
I'm with you on that because here's the thing is, Garvel Loken is one of my favorite characters in Warhammer, right? Loken was the best, right? Cause he made that trilogy. I think and I just loved him. And I was looking at, I haven't done anything. I have not put paint to brush since his book came out because I'm sitting here trying to figure out what kind of cool create my own chapter am I going to make. And I was talking with my buddy on how I could come up with something that maybe Loken goes off and makes his own chapter, like if he survives the Siege of Terra, because we don't know yet, right? But I was like, how would we create a Luna Wolves or Sons of Horus
they're called
chapter?
Grey Knights, Ricky.
Yeah, but he turned them down, right? So, it was just spitballing and just trying to think of cool successors, or creating our own successor chapter on what we do. It's just been a really fun, thought exercise of what rules would I take? What would they look like? How would I build the list? Would they be Phobos armor, all primaries? What, right? So I think it's a really good time to think about also like chapter tactics and paint jobs and everything, and do you enforce that sort of thing, and how much of a stickler do we be over this sort of thing? Me personally, my views is that if you have an Ultramarines army, it should be using the Ultramarines chapter tactic. If you have that army, you should use that chapter tactic. But if you have your Luna Wolves, if you're putting those Luna Wolves down on the table, they don't have Luna Wolves rules. Absolutely. Play them whatever you want to play them as. Just let me know before the game starts. So I think that's a no-brainer, right?
I think Rule of Cool has to be in effect here too,
Yeah.
Because there's all kind of people with homegrown chapters out there. Now, look, I think where the stickler comes into, let's say I'm using my Blood Angel models and I'm trying to get Ultramarines rules. Am I going to pass out the field bads while I'm doing that? The answer is yes. Some people are going to get really twisted up about it. Some people are going to not care at all, couldn't care less. And I think the next thing is will the tournament organizer act? The answer is probably not. It's very unlikely that the tournament organizer would ever tell you that you couldn't come to the tournament and not use the models, as long as everything was WYSIWYG.
Yeah. Yeah, and realistically, you're right. I think I want to say it's bad form to come in with your Raven Guard army that is using Ultramarines rules, for
playing the
instance.
Salamanders,
Right, because it's almost. I'm not saying you're trying to do anything sketchy, because you may have had these for just years, but these rules work better, and you don't want to
feel like you're breaching that social contract. If you wanted to play the Blood Angels, why didn't you paint your army red?
Yeah, and the reason you don't is because the Blood Angels Codex just doesn't hold up as well right now, right? So I get that from a competitive standpoint. You want the best rules with the best models with the best units to win the game, but it can be dishonest in a way in that if it can confuse your opponent. And I think if you're doing something that could intentionally or unintentionally confuse your opponent, you could look at that as somewhat unsportsmanlike.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second? I don't buy the whole confusion thing.
Oh, you haven't played against me enough.
Well,
gotta remember,
I just mean that once you exchange army list and you say, this is what my army can do, and you say, this is the tactic, this is my chapter tactics, and then the game starts, no one's going to be like, oh, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to, they may bring it up, but only as like in a passive aggressive way.
Oh yeah, like that.
I thought that was a Blood Angel unit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? I didn't think you were going to use that stratagem. But like, okay, buddy, my whole army is what we said, and I've been doing it on every other unit. So.
Yeah, I think an easy way to, if you feel like if you're tournament and you feel like you want to police that, if you want to enforce that sort of thing, would be with your appearance rubric or
you got to publish
something
like
that, right?
Yeah. Either you penalize it. I think that on most rubrics, there's like, is this indicative of a Warhammer 40,000 force or whatever?
Yeah.
Is this supported somewhere in the, in some capacity? And that's, so you can penalize it with a couple of points on your painting rubric. Or if you just want to flat out not allow it, then you need to publish that as soon as you publish the rules for your army, so people know either not to come or to change armies or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many tournaments out there, so many formats out there. I'm sure there's a tournament out there, or somebody's considered a format where it would say your army has to be painted. Now, especially with the successor chapter tactics, you could enforce a rule of, if it's your event, but if you could enforce a rule that says you have to be painted in your you have to use the chapter tactics of the army that you are representing on the table. If not, you have to pick a successor chapter. I mean, there's any myriad number of ways you could do that, but I think at the end of the day, look at what's the intent of the player. 90% of the time, the player just wants to bring the models that they have painted up, and they want to have a good time. And rarely is somebody trying to do anything dishonest.
Yeah.
And just be cognizant of the fact that not everyone has tons of time to devote to painting all of this stuff, and sometimes it could be a player who's just getting back into the hobby and would like to come play, but maybe they've just got some Blood Angels.
Well, I mean, let me play like a third devil's advocate here now, and
How many devils are you advocating?
I know. I'll define my feelings soon, but like for my demons, my original plan with my demons was to paint and model everything like Nurgle. So my horrors were going to be green. All my demon princes were going to have a Nurgle feel to them, and no matter what god they were affiliated, like do something like paint pink eyes on the Tzeentch ones, or who knows. Look, I just said combining Nurgle with Tzeentch, and everybody knows that's a bad idea because they're not friends. They're not friends. In the lore, they're not friends.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting a little bit off the point, is that I was going to paint everything Nurgly because I like the aesthetic of that. You could find a successor chapter of almost any of the major chapters that is the color you want. I'm almost positive they exist.
Yeah. I mean, there's thousands of chapters, and then half of those don't even have color schemes, right? So like they're just a name and a blurb somewhere. So just you can just this is that and this and this. I think where it creates a feel badsy is where somebody rolls in and they've got Ultramarines decals on their model and they're like, yeah, these are Raven Guard. That's where it bothers me.
But see,
from a hobby standpoint,
you're not going to not play them, and you're probably not going to realistically dock their sportsmanship or anything if I'm
going to heckle them. I will heckle them throughout the game, but I will play them. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's
and as a tournament runner, I don't think that you would turn someone away.
No, like I mean, I have turned people away before, but not for that.
I mean for this thing, this choice.
It's such a trivial little thing. Let me ask you this. Would you, and here's I guess like the big thing. Would you rather play against somebody playing an Ultramarine army painted up as Raven Guard, or would you rather play against somebody playing an Ultramarine army that's completely unpainted?
Yeah.
Right. So it's, I mean, at the end of the day, hey, they painted their models up. They're, they've got a painted army and they're enjoying the hobby. And, we're not in this to win money or anything. Some people maybe are, but like, come on, man. It's just people trying to have a good time and enjoy their hobby. So I say try not to get wrapped in assholes.
Yeah, it may sound, like we kind of derailed a little bit, but the question was like, will this be policed and enforced?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think I would ask my players when they come to have their models appropriately painted. But am I going to have somebody drive 2 hours to my tournament and then turn them away? Unlikely.
Yeah. well, I mean, I think if you do want to enforce that at your event, just publish it. You're well within your rights to do so. I think always the person that's putting out the risk and everything has the right and ability to do whatever they feel is right for them and what they're going for in their scene. So do it if you want to. I just think it's just going to be a non-issue. It will be something that we complain about. But I'm like, see, for me, why do I even have 2 Marine armies? Because I'm a Blood Angel super fan. That's why. And I can't even conceivably use them as anything other than Blood Angels when I use them.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm in the same boat. I've got 2 decades of Dark Angel collection, here in the house. Like, I've got Dark Angels everywhere, but I'm still considering painting up creating my own Space Marine chapter and playing with a new Space Marine army. But that's just because, me personally, my personal preference is to play with, models appropriately painted, right? But that's not everybody. And of course, that's a very expensive proposition for some people. My
Luna Wolves have been everything. They've been Space Wolves. They've been, Iron Hands. They've been, Dark Angels. I mean, they've been lots of stuff. That's
one of the reasons, if you ask me, you're almost better off to not play or to not use one of the main color schemes, right? To come up with your own chapter, come up with your own name, create your, forge your own narrative, if you will, and create your own thing. That way you can try new things with your army. You can try the new successor chapter tactics. You can try Ultramarines tactic, Raven Guard tactic. You can put different units in there. And all you have to do is say, well, I'm going to play them as this today. And it just gives you a lot more variety. It lets you be more creative in making your own thing. It lets you, try different models and different units and everything. And I think it can be a really fulfilling experience to do that. And honestly, at the end of the day, it can save you a lot of money too, right? Because you're not having to buy multiple models.
I hate to be wishy-washy. I think that it is. Yes, you should. But if you want to, well, whatever. As long as everything's appropriately geared, But I love your. That's where the confusion comes in.
Yeah, but I do love your thesis there of whatever. It's like so passionate, and then whatever. But that's kind of the way I feel about it too. It's like, no. But if you did, I wouldn't really get all that upset. Like I would not do it. But if somebody did it, hey man, it
happens all the time. It's going to happen, especially as we. I mean, think of it's going to happen a lot more now because we got this Space Marine book. Space Marines have been. Middle of the road, like that second tier army, I think for a while with Guilliman, that kind of thing. But now we're going to see as the supplements come out, people are going to be wanting to try new things. And
but the thing is, I think I would have been more forgiving about it before this codex, because before this codex, if you come to me with anything and you said I'm playing them as Ultramarines, I'd have been like, yup, I don't blame you. Right, because and I had a buddy. He's got his painted up as Carcharodons, and he's got Guilliman painted up as Tyberos, and it looks awesome. Because why would you have played anything other than Guilliman and Ultramarines? And now that this book is out, and if somebody come to me with Salamanders and said, I'm playing them as Ultramarines, I would shake them and say, why? Salamanders are cool now. Like, their abilities are solid. White Scars are solid. There's all the chapter tactics now are so exciting to me that I think now more so than ever, I say own your chapter and play it. I think it's got more more power to it.
You sweet fluff player, you.
I am all day.
That's all right. So that's fine too. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Next week, diving into some army. People have been submitting their army list ideas. I think I'm pretty close on figuring out what I want to try for the Space Marines. We'll read some more 5-star reviews from folks. Thank you for the folks that continue from folks, people that leave them for us. It means a whole lot. It's one of those ways that gets the word out. People find us, get to listen to us, and spread the reach. Ricky, we'll see you and everybody else next week.
Looking forward to it. See ya.
It's all in the reflexes.